So for your next step, we're going to look at DAT load board. That's the one I've used for most of the demonstrations. DAT is the market leader, it's the premier and the biggest load board on the United States market. So you will definitely want to get DAT in addition to your 123 load board and to your DOFT accounts. So you log in to dat.com. You can see the website right here on the top, and then you go into products, and they have multiple products, but what you're interested in is the load board. So I'm going to click load board. They offer me to sign up now, but actually if I scroll all the way down, let's see, there you go. I will come to the package comparison. Let's take a look at them. So make sure you're here on the carrier side, because they also have the load board accounts for brokers, combination of broker and carrier, and for shippers. What we're interested in is the carrier load board, the one that allows us to search for loads. So they have 5 packages. It starts with a Tracker's Edge, DAT Tracker's Edge Standard, which is $45 a month currently. And then the most expensive one, Power Office Carrier, is a whopping $295 a month. Once again, getting a load board and paying for a load board like DAT is only going to be required for dispatchers who are going to be working as freelancers, as self-employed dispatchers, so essentially for those who are going to make a business out of it and provide their services to multiple carriers, multiple small carriers as customers. So that in that case, you will need to purchase a load board and to pay for a load board, as well as some other tools like a VoIP, a phone to call. That more on that will be in module 9. But if you're going to get a job, so if you go the other route and you're getting employment in a trucking company, like as a remote employee or remote agent in a trucking company or in a dispatching company, in that case your employer will certainly provide you all the tools. You're not going to have to go and buy them themselves, and DAT load board will definitely be one of those. So let's check the packages. We're starting here. So unlimited search posting is available for each one. DAT1 mobile app. So you just like with the other load boards, you can use DAT on your computer, or you can download an application and use it on your phone if you're on the road or something. Load match alarm. So we've looked at that. That's the alarm you can set, and it will ring once something based on your search load, a new load has appeared. It will ring. It will give you a little sound, so you know that a new load has come up. Mileage and routing, broker credit data. So that's the broker credit score and the days to pay that we saw during the demonstration of the DAT load board, and the load counts by state. So that the in and out ratio. That one will be available in all the subscriptions. And then the average lane rates. So when that's the one we were looking at when you search for a load, and then you can go and see the average rate for this load for the past days. That one's not available in the cheapest package for $45, so you're going to have to pay more. And in Tracker's Edge Enhanced is going to show you historical data for the past 30 days, but if you go for a more expensive package, it's going to show you data for the past 15 days. Call to post search, so you don't actually have to go on the load board. If you're a driver, you're in a truck, you can actually search and book loads by phone. A manager will help you with that. And then try haul. This function will only be available in the third package, the Tracker's Edge Professional. So try haul is suggested higher paying routes within triangular route suggestions. So let's say you're looking for a load, let's say from Miami, Florida, going to New York, and it's a 2-day load, and potentially they're going to pay quite low in terms of rate per mile if you go directly from Miami to New York. So this try haul function on DAT will actually give you suggestions on how you can break up that longer load into 2 shorter loads to maximize your rate per mile. So maybe in our example, it will recommend you to first go from Miami to, let's say, Atlanta, Georgia, and then from Atlanta to go to New York, and this way you increase your rate per mile. Or maybe it will suggest you to go to Alabama or North Carolina. So basically it will help you break down long, low-paying loads into shorter, higher paying loads. That's what the try hole function can be used for. We actually didn't look at it during our presentation, but it's going to be available if you buy Trucker's Edge Professional or higher. DAT Assurance helps carriers collect past due payments, and then Canadian loads will be available. And then live load board. So if you don't go for the Trucker's Edge, if you go for the more expensive DAT Power option, your load board will be live search results with instant refresh. So instead of you having to click a refresh button every time to see new loads, the DAT Power load board will actually refresh automatically. And then you'll get the market conditions index, the MCI. That's something we looked at in module 5. Exact match alarms, set an alarm for when a new load matches exactly what you're looking for. Multiple searches and filtering is also available in the DAT Power. So in Trucker's Edge, you have to look for each load individually. You can only have one load search going at a time. With DAT Power, you can have multiple load searches at a time, and then you can switch through them very easily. And then in the most expensive package, the one for $295, Power Office Carrier, you also get preferred and block companies, contract lane rates, and lane makers. Lane makers is something we looked at as well. That's the tool that helps you find brokers that have been posting the most amount of loads for a certain area or for a certain lane. So that's the comparison of the packages. If you're employed and you're working for a company, they will be the one choosing the package. But for an independent dispatcher, there's going to be a choice for you. I don't suggest paying $295, but you might want to go for either of these 3 packages, because the cheapest package doesn't provide you with average lane rates. And this is an important tool for a beginner to see what brokers have been paying on average. So I suggest going with one of these 3 packages. Now, you can go ahead and click Buy Now. The only issue, so I already clicked on Buy Now. Let me switch here. The only issue when you set up your account, first of all, is going to ask you for authority type. In the past, you could only get a DAT account if you had a DOT or an MC number, so you had to be a licensed carrier. Now you can choose no DOT or MC, and then in the type, here you have several options. You can choose carrier dispatcher, so you actually can get a DAT account now being a dispatcher. You do not need to have a license, a carrier license, but it will ask you for company name and for an address in the United States. So DAT wants you to have a tracking company or a dispatching company if you're going to sign up. So that's a bit of an issue for dispatchers. For an independent dispatcher, the fastest and easiest way to get access to DAT is actually to request an account from one of your customers. And this is a perfectly normal practice. There's nothing shameful or distrustful about it. You can simply explain to the carrier that in order to comply with DAT rules, you only work with customers' accounts, and you can either pay the account fee yourself, so you can actually create an account with a customer's name, so customer's company name and his address and everything, and then pay for the account yourself, or you can agree that they will create an account for you basically, or provide you with their existing account, and then they will deduct the cost of the load board from your dispatching fee. So most new dispatchers get a DAT account this way. There's nothing wrong about it. The second option for you is to get an account under your own company name. Opening a company in the US, that's something we're going to discuss in a bit more detail in module 9, but actually it's not that difficult. You can open a company remotely. You don't need to be a resident of the United States. You don't need to be a citizen. You don't need to go and visit the US yourself. You don't even need to have any visa to go there. So there are ways to open a company in the US completely remotely using a lawyer or a special company that specializes on that. It will cost you a bit of money. So we'll not get too much into detail, but you can, and I will show you how in the future modules, open a company in the US and then open a DAT account on your name, on your company, which honestly doesn't change anything. As I said, most, if not all, dispatchers open a DAT account using one of the carriers, one of the customers that they found. They just list themselves as carrier dispatcher, and then they go ahead and fill out the information as the carrier. Even if you open a DAT account on your own company, DAT will still ask you, because you're going to be a carrier dispatcher, you're not going to have an MC number, so the DAT will still ask you to provide the company name and the contact of at least one carrier that you dispatch, and then you'll provide that information, and they will actually call the carrier and ask them, check with them whether this person is really dispatching them, and only then they will give you access to the account. So in any case, to get a DAT account, you need to first find a carrier. If you don't know how to find carriers yet, that's going to be the information of module 8 and module 9, so don't worry about that. Actually, finding a carrier to dispatch is not the difficult task at all. It's actually quite easy, and I'll provide you with free tools on how to do that. The difficult part is to start dispatching that carriers, to start working, to find them loads that they like, and to start generating commission. That's why we're spending all this time learning the best practices on how to be a dispatcher. But essentially, once you have a carrier, you will just ask them to provide you a DAT account or to open a DAT account under their name. You will go through all of these details, and then once again you will need to input a credit card or a debit card number in order to register, and then you will be able to use DAT immediately. Another load board that we're going to look at is TruckStop. So the website is truckstop.com. TruckStop is the main competitor of DAT. As you can see here, they're showing how many loads they have. So they have quite a lot of loads. Sometimes they even have more loads than 1 to 3 load board. As a dispatcher, you don't necessarily need to have a TruckStop load board, so usually DAT and a couple other load boards is sufficient, but especially if you're working with flatbed carriers or step deck carriers, any platform trailers, then TruckStop typically has more loads for those types of equipments, so you might want to get a TruckStop if you have carriers with that type of equipment. So here on TruckStop, I'm already on the load board here. You have 3 packages: basic, advanced, and pro package. In basic, costs $39 per month. You just get the standard load searching, truck posting. With the pro package, the one for $149, you get all the analysis tools. Essentially, these are the same analysis tools, very similar to what you get with 1 to 3 load board or DAT load board. Load comparison, real-time updates, rate insights, so that's going to be your average rates. Heat map, that's the same as the maps we saw on 1 to 3 and then on DAT, that shows the load to truck ratio per region or per state. And then they also have some of their own features like best paying load search and multi-trip. So TruckStop is also a great option. Once again, you will face the same problem as with DAT load boards. They will want you to have a US-based company in order to sign up. And if I'm correct, they don't even have an option to register as a dispatch. At some point they had an option, then they took it off. So it might be different at the time you're watching the video. Maybe they added back, but in any case, it costs more money. And once again, just the same way as with DAT load board, the easiest and most effective way to get access to this load board is to first find the carrier that you'll be dispatching and then either register an account on their company name or ask them to provide you a TruckStop account. And for your third step is going to be getting access to broker load boards. So many large brokerage firms have their own public load board. Very often, actually, they will post loads on their own load board first, and only after they'll post it on public load boards like DAT and 1 to 3 load boards. They'll post on their own load boards so that the carriers who already signed up with them get a first pick, get a first choice of the loads, and then those loads that haven't been sold after a little while will be posted on a public load board. some brokers will actually only post loads on their own load board, like for example Amazon or Uber Freight. Yeah, you heard correct, Uber, just like the taxi company. Uber actually has a very strong standing in the freight brokerage business, and their own load board, their own application allows carriers to book loads without calling the broker, without negotiating rates. So everything is done in the application. There are many broker load boards. I opened this one as an example. It's tql.com. So for many broker load boards, you will first need to set up your carrier with that broker, and then they will give you access to the load board. I chose this one, TQL, because it actually you can get access right away. So all the broker load boards are free, of course. They're not going to charge you for them. So this one is tql.com, and then you can go here into carriers and click on load board. I already preloaded it because it's a little bit slow, but this is how it looks. Just looks like a normal standard load board, maybe less commercialized. So I tried to do a search. I searched for loads out of Dallas, Texas for tomorrow, and you can see that there are actually many load offers. Some of them have rates, some don't, but large brokers have a lot of loads, and you'll definitely want to get your carriers set up with as many brokers as possible, and then with each broker you can inquire whether they have a load board and then get them signed up for that load board. So this way you have more load opportunities, you have more load options, and you'll always have something to offer to your carrier. Look at that, how many loads they have. Okay, I'm going to leave a list of load boards for you right here in this lesson, so you'll see it under the video. It will include the public load boards that we discussed, the free ones, the paid ones, and I will include a number of largest broker load boards, so that when you sign up a carrier, when you start working, you will already know what brokers to sign up and what load boards you can get access to immediately.